Stephen A. Smith just exposed Aaron Judge in what's being called a $300 million tax fraud scandal that's rocking the baseball world.
I am so disgusted with Aaron Judge. Let me tell you something right now.
Stephen A. is furious, and this could be the moment that destroys Judge's legacy. Did baseball's golden boy just commit the ultimate financial betrayal? Will the Yankees still back their $360 million man? And what does this mean for their championship hopes? Buckle up, because we're diving into this explosive controversy. The unfolding drama. Stephen A. Smith, love him or hate him, has built his career on being the loudest voice in the room. His hot takes and explosive commentary have made him a household name, and when Stephen A. speaks, the sports world listens. But his relationship with certain baseball figures, particularly Aaron Judge, has been nothing short of tumultuous over the years. The tension between these two sports icons has been building for some time now. Long before any talk of financial controversies, Smith had already placed Judge squarely in his crosshairs on multiple occasions. The drama between them has played out across ESPN broadcasts, social media, and sports talk radio, creating a perfect storm that has led us to where we are today. Let's rewind and examine how we got here. The foundation of this controversy wasn't built overnight. It's been constructed brick by brick through a series of increasingly heated exchanges and public criticisms. Back in August 2024, Smith made headlines when he discussed Aaron Judge's performance on First Take. He claimed that Juan Soto, batting behind Judge in the Yankees lineup, had contributed to Judge's success, citing a .465 on-base percentage. This statement immediately drew the ire of baseball fans and analysts alike, because Soto actually batted ahead of Judge in the lineup, not behind him. This wasn't just a minor slip of the tongue, it was seen as evidence that Smith was making bold proclamations about baseball without understanding the basic facts. The sports media world pounced, with outlets like Sports Illustrated noting how baseball fans roasted Smith for this take. The error highlighted what many baseball purists had long claimed, that Smith was out of his depth when discussing the sport. But that was just the beginning of what would become an increasingly personal feud. When the Yankees found themselves struggling in the World Series against the Dodgers in October 2024, Smith unleashed a blistering critique that went far beyond normal sports commentary.
I am so disgusted with Aaron Judge. Let me tell you something right now. Remember when George Steinbrenner, God rest his soul, called Dave Winfield Mr. May? I didn't like it because I love me some Dave Winfield, but it was emblematic of somebody that he felt wasn't producing in October, because obviously that wasn't something Mr. October Reggie Jackson put you through.
Smith didn't just question Judge's performance, he eviscerated it on national television, calling it,
See, Bill, there's a difference between a choke job and, you know what, you're just in a slump or whatever. Like, if you're Aaron Judge and you smacking over 50 home runs every regular season and then every postseason, all of a sudden you stink, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
That's a problem.
Smith described Judge's postseason performance as one of the most atrocious performances we've seen from a baseball player, from a hitter in postseason in baseball history, as reported by Sports Illustrated. This wasn't just criticism, it was a public execution of Judge's reputation on the biggest stage in sports media. The numbers Smith cited were particularly damning.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man, Aaron Judge, who had batted .336 with an on-base percentage of .509 with runners in scoring position during the regular season. The man is 1 for 9 with no RBIs, 6 strikeouts in a World Series.
Smith wasn't finished either. He continued to hammer Judge, suggesting this was part of a pattern.
You are talking to a diehard Yankee fan. I assure you, Yankee fans are not thinking nearly as much about that drop ball as we're thinking about the fact that in multiple playoff series in his career, he is batting less than 150. Listen,
Okay.
At the end of the day, he's paid to hit home runs. And even if you ain't gonna hit home runs, hit singles, hit doubles, like get on base. What you can't do is go to bat 39 times, strike out 19 times, and that can't happen.
The timing of these comments is crucial to understanding the current controversy. Smith was systematically building a case against Judge in the public eye, questioning his clutch performance, his leadership, and ultimately his value to the Yankees organization. This wasn't just passing criticism, it was a calculated campaign that would eventually escalate to much more serious allegations. But the drama didn't end with the World Series. In December 2024, after Juan Soto signed his massive $765 million deal with the Mets, Smith dropped another bombshell. He suggested on First Take that Soto wasn't really feeling Aaron Judge, implying there was tension between the Yankees' two biggest stars. This wasn't just sports analysis anymore, it was locker room gossip being broadcast to millions.
But to me, it's of the whole team, the whole team right now is sucking Freddie Freeman's look.
Right.
Right. That's who really was the most, as much as they had Ohtani.
He showed up.
Another guy who did not show up in the postseason.
Yeah, but at least he hit a home run in game 1. I mean, at least he got on base and stuff like that. And he showed up at
Ohtani,
points in the postseason.
Smith's criticisms were becoming increasingly personal, and Judge found himself at the center of what appeared to be a vendetta from one of sports media's most powerful voices. And when Stephen A. Smith decides to target someone, he rarely pulls punches. It's worth noting that this pattern of behavior isn't unique to Smith's treatment of Judge. Smith has a well-documented history of making controversial statements about various sports figures. In May 2024, he questioned why Mike Trout and other baseball players get injured frequently, asking, "How the hell is he always hurt?" after Trout announced knee surgery. This led to former MLB pitcher Jonathan Papelbon calling Smith racist and fake, accusing him of seeking views. Similarly, in July 2021, Smith suggested Shohei Ohtani was not an effective face of baseball because he needs an interpreter, stating, "I don't think it helps that the #1 face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying." This comment was widely criticized as insensitive and potentially racist, especially given the rise in violence against Asian Americans at the time. These incidents establish a clear pattern. Smith makes controversial, often poorly researched statements about baseball players, faces backlash, and then doubles down or moves on to his next target. Judge appears to be the latest in a long line of players who have found themselves in Smith's crosshairs. But what makes the current situation with Judge different, and potentially far more serious, is the scale and nature of what's being discussed. We're no longer just talking about batting averages and playoff performances. The rumors swirling around involve enormous sums of money and potential legal implications that could forever alter Judge's legacy and future in baseball. The financial allegations and media firestorm. The scale of what's being discussed is staggering. $300 million is not just a headline-grabbing number, it's the kind of figure that can alter the trajectory of professional sports. To put this in perspective, Judge signed a 9-year, $360 million contract with the Yankees in December 2022. The amount at the center of this controversy represents nearly 83% of his entire contract value. For many Yankees fans, the possibility of their franchise star being involved in financial irregularities is nothing short of devastating. This is Aaron Judge we're talking about, the face of baseball's most storied franchise, the man who broke Roger Maris's American League home run record, the towering figure who was supposed to carry the Yankees back to World Series glory. The timing of these allegations couldn't be worse for Judge or the Yankees. After falling short in the 2024 World Series against the Dodgers, the team was already facing questions about their ability to compete at the highest level. Now, with these financial allegations swirling, the organization finds itself in a precarious position that goes far beyond on-field performance. Stephen A. Smith's role in all this is particularly interesting given his own history with financial commentary. Smith is not a financial reporter by trade. His expertise has always been centered on sports performance, not tax law or financial regulations. This has led many to question why he would be the one to bring these allegations to light and whether he has the expertise to accurately assess their validity. To understand how we got here, we need to examine the broader context of Stephen A. Smith's recent career, moves, and the changing landscape of sports media. In recent years, Smith has expanded his commentary beyond sports into politics and culture, often making headlines for controversial statements in these arenas. In April 2024, during an appearance on Fox News' Hannity, Smith discussed Donald Trump's claim that Black Americans find him relatable due to his legal troubles. Smith stated that Trump wasn't lying, suggesting that Black people could relate to being discriminated against in the legal system. This comment sparked significant backlash, particularly from the Black community and civil rights organizations like the NAACP. The NAACP responded with a sarcastic X post questioning whether anyone in Smith's Black family had faced similar legal issues as Trump, such as 88 felony charges or attempting to overthrow an election. This exchange highlighted Smith's willingness to wade into controversial territory well beyond the sports world. More recently, Smith began openly discussing the possibility of running for president in 2028, citing frustration with the current political climate. On April 8, 2025, he stated on X that he was leaving all doors open and had been approached by political figures, pundits, and billionaires about exploratory committees. This ambition to expand his influence beyond sports raises questions about his motivations for making explosive allegations about high-profile athletes like Judge. These forays into politics and culture demonstrate Smith's desire to be seen as more than just a sports commentator. He wants to be a cultural force, someone whose opinions carry weight across different spheres of American life. This context is crucial for understanding why Smith might pursue a story story of this magnitude about Aaron Judge. But let's get back to the financial allegations themselves. What exactly is being suggested about Judge's financial dealings? The claims appear to center around tax issues, a sensitive topic for professional athletes who often have complex financial arrangements spanning multiple states due to their travel schedules. Professional athletes like Judge face unique tax challenges. They must file returns in numerous jurisdictions based on where they play games, a concept known as jock tax. For a Yankees player who travels to over a dozen different states during the season, tax compliance is extraordinarily complex. This complexity creates both risk and opportunity. Risk of inadvertent non-compliance and opportunity for sophisticated and sometimes aggressive tax planning. When athletes of Judge's stature face tax issues, the amounts can be staggering simply because of the scale of their earnings. Judge's $40 million annual salary puts him in the highest tax brackets at both federal and state levels. When you factor in endorsement deals and other income streams, his total earnings likely far exceed his baseball salary. New York State and New York City have some of the highest tax rates in the country, with combined rates approaching 15% for top earners. For someone earning what Judge does, even small disagreements with tax authorities over what income is taxable can quickly escalate into 7- or 8-figure disputes. The allegations surrounding Judge appear to suggest something beyond routine tax planning or minor compliance issues. The $300 million figure implies something systemic and potentially deliberate. However, it's important to note that tax disputes, even large ones, don't necessarily indicate fraud or criminal activity. The vast majority of tax controversies are civil matters resolved through administrative procedures or civil litigation. The media response to these allegations has been both predictable and revealing. Major sports outlets have approached the story with caution, aware of both the serious nature of the claims and the lack of official confirmation from authoritative sources. This caution is appropriate, given the potential damage to Judge's reputation and the legal implications of publishing unverified information about potential tax issues. Social media, however, has been less restrained, with the allegations spreading rapidly across platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. The combination of Aaron Judge's celebrity status and Stephen A. Smith's provocative persona creates a perfect storm for viral content, regardless of the underlying facts. What's particularly interesting is how this story highlights the changing nature of sports journalism. In the past, allegations of this magnitude would typically originate from investigative reporters at major news organizations who would spend months verifying information before publishing. Today, the line between commentary and reporting has blurred, with personalities like Smith occupying an ambiguous space between the two. This evolution raises important questions about responsibility and accountability in sports media. When someone with Smith's platform makes or amplifies serious allegations about an athlete like Judge, what obligation do they have to ensure accuracy? And what recourse does the athlete have if the allegations prove unfounded? For Judge, the stakes couldn't be higher. Beyond the immediate financial implications, allegations of tax impropriety could damage his marketability for endorsements, his relationship with fans, and even his legacy in the sport. The Yankees organization also finds itself in a difficult position, having committed hundreds of millions of dollars to Judge as the centerpiece of their franchise. Looking at how similar situations have played out in the past provides some context for what Judge might be facing. When other high-profile athletes have faced tax issues, the outcomes have varied widely depending on the specifics of each case. For example, soccer star Lionel Messi was convicted of tax fraud in Spain in 2016 and received a 21-month suspended prison sentence. While Messi's playing career continued largely uninterrupted, the case did damage to his public image. In contrast, golfer Phil Mickelson faced scrutiny over his involvement in a gambling operation's tax issues, but was ultimately not charged with any crime. The common thread in these cases is that the truth often takes time to emerge, and initial allegations frequently differ significantly from the final resolution. This suggests that regardless of what's being said now about Judge, the full story will likely be more complex and nuanced than current reporting suggests. As this story continues to develop, several key questions remain unanswered. 1. What specific evidence exists to support these financial allegations against Judge? 2. What role are official tax or legal authorities playing in investigating these matters? 3. How will the Yankees organization respond to protect both their player and their business interests? 4. Will Judge himself address these allegations directly, or will he remain silent while the situation unfolds? The answers to these questions will determine not just Judge's personal and professional fate, but potentially the competitive outlook for the Yankees and the broader narrative of the 2025 MLB season. The fallout and what comes next. The implications of this controversy extend far beyond Judge and Smith themselves. This is a story that touches on the Yankees organization, Major League Baseball as a whole, the sports, media landscape, and even the relationship between athletes and commentators in the digital age. Let's start by considering what's at stake for Aaron Judge. Beyond the immediate financial and legal questions, Judge's carefully cultivated image as baseball's gentle giant is under threat. Since bursting onto the scene in 2017, Judge has been portrayed as the antithesis of the controversial sports star, humble, dedicated, and seemingly above the fray of scandal.
And I'm worried.
And what are you going to tell Aaron? Aaron, if you're watching, he watches.
Please stay.
No. Don't say please. Just say, Aaron, no, you yell, you tell it, you stay. Aaron. Yeah, Aaron, you stay at the Yankees.
This carefully constructed persona has made Judge extraordinarily marketable, landing him endorsement deals with brands like Pepsi, Adidas, and T-Mobile. These partnerships are undoubtedly worth tens of millions of dollars, but they're also typically contingent on the athlete maintaining a positive public image. Financial controversies of the magnitude being discussed could trigger morality clauses in these contracts, potentially costing Judge significant income beyond any tax issues. Moreover, Judge's relationship with Yankees fans, arguably the most passionate and demanding fan base in baseball, could suffer irreparable damage. New Yorkers have historically held their sports heroes to exceptionally high standards, both on and off the field. The city that once booed Derek Jeter during a slump would undoubtedly have strong reactions to allegations of financial impropriety against their current star. For the Yankees organization, this controversy creates a complex set of challenges. The team has positioned Judge as the cornerstone of their franchise, both athletically and from a marketing perspective. His face adorns billboards throughout New York City, and his number 99 jersey is among the best-selling in all of sports. The $360 million contract the Yankees awarded Judge in 2022 wasn't just a baseball decision, it was an investment in the future of their brand. Any threat to Judge's reputation represents a significant risk to that investment. The organization must now navigate the delicate balance of supporting their star player while also protecting their own interests and reputation. There's also the competitive aspect to consider. The Yankees are perennial contenders, but they haven't won a World Series since 2009, an eternity by their historic standards. The 2024 season ended in disappointment with their loss to the Dodgers in the World Series, and the team was counting on Judge to lead them back to championship glory in 2025. If these off-field issues affect his performance or availability, the team's championship aspirations could be in jeopardy.
If they lose tonight, they're getting swept.
Not gonna get swept.
They have to win. They have to win Game 3. They have to.
Major League Baseball as a whole also has significant skin in this game. Judge is one of the sport's most marketable stars at a time when baseball is fighting for relevance with younger audiences. His 62 home run season in 2022 generated the kind of national attention the sport desperately needs, and MLB has featured Judge prominently in its marketing efforts. Commissioner Rob Manfred has made growing the sport's popularity a priority, and having one of its biggest stars embroiled in controversy is the last thing baseball needs as it competes with the NFL, NBA, and newer entertainment options for fans' attention. Now, let's turn our attention to Stephen A. Smith and what this controversy means for his career and legacy. Smith has built his brand on provocative commentary, but there's a significant difference between calling a player overrated and alleging financial misconduct. The latter crosses from sports opinion into potentially defamatory territory, depending on the specifics of what's being claimed and the evidence behind those claims. Smith's credibility is also on the line. If the allegations against Judge prove unfounded or significantly exaggerated, it could damage Smith's reputation as a commentator. Sports fans might forgive incorrect predictions about game outcomes or misreading a player's potential, but making or amplifying false allegations about a player's character or legal standing crosses a line that many viewers might find unacceptable. Of course, the opposite is also true. If evidence emerges that substantiates the claims about Judge's financial dealings, Smith could cement his status as more than just a hot-take artist. He would be vindicated as someone willing to speak truth to power, even when that power is wielded by one of baseball's biggest stars. This isn't the first time Smith has pushed the boundaries of sports commentary. He has feuded with NBA stars like LeBron James, particularly after criticizing Bronny James's NBA readiness, suggesting he belonged in the G League rather than the NBA. This led to a courtside confrontation and social media exchanges, with LeBron posting a mocking video of Smith boxing. During the 2018 NBA Finals, Smith made a joking comment about J.R. Smith being high after dribbling out the clock in Game 1, implying the mistake was drug-related, which was seen as insensitive and garnered applause from the audience. violence. These past controversies suggest Smith is comfortable operating in ethically ambiguous territory when it comes to athlete criticism. Perhaps the most relevant precedent is Smith's disciplinary history at ESPN. In 2014, Smith was suspended by the network after suggesting that women should avoid provoking domestic violence in the context of the Ray Rice case. This incident demonstrates that there are limits to what even Smith can say without facing professional consequences. ESPN itself faces difficult questions about its responsibility for the commentary broadcast on its platforms. As Smith's employer, the network benefits from his provocative style and the ratings it generates, but it also bears some responsibility for the accuracy and fairness of the content it disseminates. The network has traditionally given Smith significant latitude in his commentary, recognizing that his unfiltered approach is central to his appeal. However, allegations of financial impropriety against a major sports figure would likely trigger additional editorial scrutiny, particularly given the potential legal implications. The broader media ecosystem also plays a crucial role in how this story develops. While traditional sports outlets might approach these allegations with caution, the same restraint doesn't apply to social media and less regulated corners of the internet. Once serious allegations enter the public sphere, they take on a life of their own, regardless of their veracity. This dynamic creates a challenging environment for Judge to defend himself. Even if the allegations prove completely unfounded, the mere fact that they were made by someone with Smith's platform ensures they'll remain part of the conversation around Judge for years to come. In the internet age, accusations, even false ones, never fully disappear. Looking ahead, several potential scenarios could play out from here. First, Judge could respond directly to the allegations, either denying them outright or providing context that challenges the narrative being presented. This approach would give him some control over the story, but would also keep the controversy in the news cycle. Alternatively, Judge could remain silent, hoping that a lack of official confirmation or further developments will cause the story to lose momentum. This strategy has worked for some athletes facing unfounded allegations in the past, but it also leaves a vacuum that others can fill with speculation. For Smith, the path forward depends largely on what evidence exists to support the claims being discussed. If substantial evidence emerges, Smith could position himself as having the courage to address difficult truths that others in sports media avoided. If the allegations prove baseless, he may face criticism for irresponsible commentary, but his history suggests he would weather such criticism and move on to the next controversy. The Yankees organization faces its own set of decisions. They could stand firmly behind Judge, challenging the allegations directly and using their considerable resources to defend their star. Alternatively, they might take a more measured approach, expressing support for Judge while also acknowledging the seriousness of the claims and promising to respect the appropriate processes for resolving them. Major League Baseball will likely monitor the situation closely but avoid direct involvement unless official legal proceedings begin. The league has protocols for handling players facing criminal charges, but tax disputes often remain in the civil realm and don't trigger league discipline unless they cross into criminal territory. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.